folks, we're going to be starting up in just a second. Please bear with us. Please bear with me. All right, I'm here with everyone, and I'm troubled right now. I'm very troubled. I hope everyone can see this. I hope even in Facebook, which I know Facebook's been acting up a lot lately, and I'm trying to get this message out because we've been hearing a lot of bad news today. There's been a lot of bad news across the nation. And I think a lot of people may be aware of this because earlier today, there was some bad news. There was sad news that was out there about Santa Clarita in California, high school students, a school shooting. And it's a serious subject. It's a very serious subject. And I want to take a moment to talk about that because it's really sad that we see consistently over and over and over again that for whatever reason, we're not seeing this stop. This is a plague. This is a problem that's been affecting everyone. This is a plague. This is a problem that we have been promised over and over and over again will not happen, that this is going to end, that we were going to see a different answer. And we've seen people like Beto, who's come out and he said, he's going to give us the final answer, which is to take all the firearms, take all the guns. It's not an answer. It never was an answer. It never will be an answer because it doesn't answer the root problem. And I want to be very clear. Let me step back again. Today, this morning, in California, in Santa Clarita, California, there was a school shooting. Not a mass shooting, but a school shooting. And the reason why I say that is because there was a 15-year-old who today is his birthday. He turned 16. And that 16-year-old decided to go to school and to shoot other students on his 16th birthday. Okay? And the early reports, there were a lot of reports out there. The early reports were that one student had died. There have been updates on the news since that time, and it is now feared that there are, according to the Washington Post, that 2 students have actually died, and it's really sad. 4 students are said to be injured. One of them being the shooter himself. The shooter is a 16-year-old Asian student, apparently. And again, this is breaking news. This is coming out. This is changing. We're seeing this. More things are developing as we go. But these are the things that we do know at this moment, that there was a student who was 15, today being his 16th birthday. He went to school this morning in Santa Clarita. Before classes started, he apparently pulled out a handgun, which has been identified as a .45 caliber gun, and he shot himself and several other students. This is what we know these are the bare minimum of facts that we know at this moment. We don't know why he did it. We don't know what was his motivation. I do know several things that have happened as a reaction, and I can tell you several things that we were promised that failed. Because the big promise in California, in Chicago, in New York State, all across the country, we have heard individuals who say that you have to remove the Second Amendment, that you got to get rid of firearms, that it's innately dangerous. And here's the thing, and they put out all of these rules and regulations to take away the Second Amendment, and none of them are working. None of those things have protected anyone. None of them. Let's be very clear about that. Okay, California, when you look at the state of California, and I pulled this up just so people could see this as I'm talking about it. In the state of California, you know what? 16-year-olds can't have a firearm. So the firearm this child used was illegal. You have to be 21 to own a firearm, except if you're hunting, and then you're 18 to 20. This kid was 16 as of today. He's a 15-year-old. He doesn't have the right to have that firearm. So it's an illegal firearm, which brings up other questions, but let's go through the list. It's not an assault weapon. That's what they're looking to ban initially. We keep hearing them say, We keep hearing people say, well, you got to get rid of the firearms, all of the, quote, assault weapons, which they're not, which it's stupid. It doesn't live up to the meaning of the term. But they want to take away assault weapons. That would not have protected anyone. They're saying that they have red flag legislation that exists in California, has existed for some time, did not save anyone. We have magazine capacity. They have limits of that in California, did not save anyone. They have limits on the age of a person who can have a firearm, did not save anyone. It's a sad, sad day, because all of the promises that you have heard from Kamala Harris, from Beto, from Nancy Pelosi, from all of the plot, the progressive leaders of tomorrow, Citizen Action. You listen to all these groups. They hate these firearms. They hate the fact that you may own a firearm, that 1 out of 2 Americans owns a firearm. And they're going to tell you that the firearms are absolutely deadly. And yet, everything they have promised, everything they have put forward has failed for decades. The promise is a lie. You are not safer because the government has your firearms. You're not safer when the government is the only one to have a firearm. You are not safer in gun-free zones. You are not safer because they're trying to get rid of, quote, assault weapons or automatic weapons, which you can't get, or semi-automatic firearms. None of that's all of these bans, none of it is making you safer, because troubled individuals, and that we can say is the case here, troubled individuals like a 16-year-old who walks into a high school, who's come to the decision that the only answer left in his life is to take innocent lives and or his own. When that is the solution that they come up in their mind, you are not safe. You cannot be. Crazy people, criminal people, people who want to commit acts of evil cannot be stopped by a law or depriving other individuals of their rights, of their freedoms. That doesn't make you safer. Not in any country, anywhere in the world. That doesn't work in Venezuela, North Korea. It doesn't work in America. It doesn't work in Britain. It doesn't work. So we have to really address this issue. It's troubling when a 16-year-old comes to the decision that the only answer left in life is to take out someone else, to harm other individuals. That scares me. That troubles me. When we have to see headlines that are saying that there is a shooting at a school, that troubles me. And it doesn't matter. We're seeing everyone trying to say, what happened? How did this happen? Why did this happen? Well, it doesn't, there is no rationale, and it doesn't matter. It didn't happen because the gun existed. It happened because that kid is troubled. That's the problem. That's the core. That kid has a problem. And we need to find out, why does that kid have that problem? And we need to resolve that issue. And I know there's some people who are very angry out there who are saying all kinds of things because they don't like hearing me say this. To say that taking someone's guns, taking the legal firearms of law-abiding citizens will not make you safe. Just by saying that, there are people out there who are very angry to hear that, including one of my local council members, Council Member Conrad Taylor, who is a supporter of Citizen Action. Possibly, it's unclear his position on progressive leaders of tomorrow. He is far left leaning. I know I've spoken to Councilman Taylor several times, and he does fall into this progressive mindset on many issues. And even today, at Binghamton University, as I'm learning, there's been an incident, a near riot, because students stood up and said, hey, without knowing about what's going on in California, students got together and said, hey, this is an idea we believe in. And 200, it's estimated, up to 200 other students surrounded them in a mob to silence them, to nearly attack them, to incite a near riot because someone said, hey, we need to find the real problem. It's not the firearm. And when they did that, there was nearly a riot. And you have a member of council, of city council, an elected official, Conrad Taylor, who's advocating, apparently, and I've sent him the question and I'm waiting for his answer, apparently advocating the threat of violence, the intimidation of individuals for expressing an idea. Not just having a firearm, but just expressing an idea. That troubles me, folks. That troubles me a lot. And it should trouble everyone a lot because that's not right. That's not what America's about. We have an intrinsic issue here, which is that we're getting promises. You're going to be safe. You're going to be okay. Just let government take care of it. And government can't take care of a situation when you have someone who has come to the decision that the only answer to their life is to kill innocent people. Government can't protect you from that. You have to protect yourself. But more importantly, we need to find out why. Why is this happening? And I don't really want to talk about this right now. But the fact is, I see that Kamala Harris, according to the Washington Post, Kamala Harris is coming out and she's advocating taking away people's firearms. She wants to change the Second Amendment. She's looking to get elected on the backs of the death of children in California, according to the Washington Post. And to quote the article exactly, which came out roughly 30 minutes ago, 2 dead, at least 4 injured in shooting at Los Angeles area high school, suspect in custody. And it isn't really in Los Angeles area, it's 30 minutes north of Los Angeles. I've lived in Santa Clarita and in LA. So no, it's not really that close. But let's be very clear here. The bigger issue is why? Why did this kid come to that conclusion? Because that, if we can answer that, we could stop mass shootings. We could stop school shootings. And that's commendable. We want to stop that. I agree. Let's stop that. It's not as rampant as the media would love you to believe. It's not something to panic over. It's not something that you have to stress out on. It is something that we need as a community to come together, as a nation, to try and find an answer on. But the answer is not, well, let's just get rid of these evil firearms, because the firearms are not the problem. The problem is the kid couldn't figure out another answer to life other than to try and kill himself and others. That's a problem. The answer is not to try and, in a mob, silence other people for their ideas and to advocate or incite violence. Again, Councilman Taylor, I'm calling you out on that. No, the answer is to come together and have different ideas and try and say, this is the best solution we can come up with. Taking people's rights, taking people's freedom does not give you an answer to the problem. It just creates another problem, a bigger problem. And it takes away your freedom from finding the answer to the problem. That's what I believe. Maybe I got it wrong. Maybe you think I'm totally wrong on this. And if I am, please tell me. Tell me if you disagree with me. Tell me that, Mike, no, you just don't understand. Because I don't understand. I don't understand what makes a 16-year-old, a kid who just turned 16 today, if all the reports are correct, to go into anywhere, let alone a gun-free zone school, and kill innocent people. And I can tell you, it doesn't matter. The red flag law doesn't stop that. New York SAFE Act doesn't stop that. Banning this gun, that gun, whatever, trying to ban and remove the Second Amendment doesn't make you safe. How many times have we seen someone use a car? Yes, famously, box cutters, knives, hands and feet, We see this around the world. We see this in New York. We see this in every city and every state. And even if you went with Kamala Harris and Beto O'Rourke with his idea that, hey, we're just going to take everyone's rifles, we're going to take the AR-15s and the AK-47s. Even if you want to go with that idea, that's something that he's saying there, this kid used a handgun, a 45, illegally. It didn't protect anyone. Beto's answer doesn't protect anyone. But you know who Beto's answer would affect? It would affect the pregnant mother in Florida who defended her daughter, 11-year-old daughter, and who protected her husband who was getting pistol whipped. And her, as she was 8 months pregnant, Beto would allow that woman to die and that family to be potentially killed. That's what he would do. And no one would be safer. And this kid in California would not have been stopped. Let's think about this. Before we trade away our freedom for some promise that the government is going to do it for you, let's understand, what are you really trading off here? Do you want to let that pregnant woman in Florida be killed potentially? Because you want to try and stop what? Not what happened in Santa Clarita today. And the cheap votes that Kamala Harris may get for this is not going to make anyone safer. It's not going to make it better. You're not going to see it end. I mean, maybe it's me. I feel strongly about this. I think this is important. I think it's troubling that we see politicians like Conrad Taylor, that we see politicians like Beto O'Rourke, Kamala Harris, Eric Swalwell, that we see these people coming out and saying, oh, we are going to punish you for having the legal constitutional right to defend yourself, to be able to be armed, a constitutional right from the birth of our nation. And they want to take that right away because they don't like the idea you have. What else would they do? I'm troubled by this. When I have to look, and I'm looking at you, Conrad, Councilman Taylor, when you are willing to advocate for a mob mentality against individuals because they have a cardboard cutout of President Trump, really? That justifies a mob attacking 4 people? Is that right? And I'm still getting information on this, just like with Santa Clarita. I'm still getting information about what happened in Binghamton University. But if I'm correct on the information I'm getting, if I'm correct about what I'm hearing, and I will have more updates on this, Conrad, Councilman Taylor, you're advocating a mob to attack people who don't agree with you. Tell me that doesn't incite more incidents like what happened in Santa Clarita. I hope not. But this is dangerous. These are dangerous mentalities people are putting out there. These are dangerous attitudes that some people are trying to use. They're willing to do almost anything against you. And I'm talking about you, the person who's watching this, you, the person who hears about this. I'm talking about you, the public. If they're willing to do all of this, what will they do to you when you have no defense? When nothing they've done has protected you, and they've taken away the way you can protect yourself, what happens then? I don't know. Really, folks, I want to hear an answer. I want to hear someone tell me, how do we help a kid who's saying the only answer is to kill other innocent people? How do we stop that thought from coming into a kid's head? How do we help a kid who has that thought in their head? That's the answer to mass shootings. That's the answer to gun violence. And if we can get to that, or at least part of the answer to gun violence, if we can get an answer to that, let's work together and get that. But the answer isn't, oh, let's just get rid of that weapon, because the kid will get another weapon, a car, a box cutter, a baseball bat, whatever else it may. They build bombs. Remember Islamberg, New York? 4 Boy Scouts built bombs. This is the problem. the mindset that says this is okay, not the tool that they are using for that crazed thought. And it may not be popular for me to say this today, but you know what? It shouldn't be okay and popular for Kamala Harris to say this to try and get votes for her presidential run today. It shouldn't be popular today for Councilman Conrad Taylor to go out and advocate and support, apparently, a mob and mob actions and mob intimidation against students because of their thoughts, because of what happened today. That's not right. And if we don't speak up right now, today, you may not have the option tomorrow, because they're going off of emotion. They're trying to pass laws based on emotion. They want you to be afraid. I'm not telling you to be afraid. I'm telling you to be aware. I'm telling you to be aware of all sides of this, and that the solution isn't in their answer. I can say that because it hasn't worked for decades. Decades. This is not a new problem. This is not a new situation. It's more popular now because we have social media, we have 24 news access, and yes, we have people like myself, political commentators out there, as well as the mainstream media. And yes, you're hearing about it more. It's not happening more. This is an old problem. We've never addressed it as a nation. And the only answer we've ever put towards it is, well, just ban that gun. And it doesn't work. It doesn't resolve the problem. Please, if you think I'm wrong, tell me. If you have a solution, tell me. Especially if that solution is something more than trust the government, because I don't. Because the government, as we have seen, doesn't protect the public. It can't be everywhere at all times for everyone. We know that. So, yeah, I want an answer that doesn't say to that pregnant mother in Florida, well, too bad. You got to wait until the government shows up, if they show up. And if you don't, well, if they don't make it in time, too bad. I don't agree with that answer. Nor do I agree with letting a kid come to the conclusion that he should kill everyone. That's just wrong. An adult saying it is wrong. But, it's no better when we have Conrad Taylor saying that mobs are okay, apparently, or Beto O'Rourke absolutely saying that he's going to destroy people's rights and they don't count because he doesn't like them. I'm sorry, those aren't answers either. But I'm open to hear answers. Councilman Taylor, you know my phone number. Call me. I'll be happy to put you on. I'll be happy to do this live, and we can talk about why it's okay to threaten people because they don't like the thoughts you have. I'd love to have that conversation. I will do that live. I would love to hear your solution on how to stop a 16-year-old from deciding that the only answer is to kill everyone. Because that's the problem. Not how he's going to kill everyone, but that he decided that he needed to. And I'm very happy, Councilman Taylor, to talk with you about it. I talk with Beto about it if I get him on the show. And this isn't over. I'm going to talk more about this. But I'm going to let this go right now because I need to find out more information. I want more details. I'm going to come back with more facts. And I'm going to present those facts for you, the public. And let's hope that our elected officials are smarter and better than what we've seen from Kamala Harris, what we've seen from Beto O'Rourke, what we're seeing from Councilman Conrad Taylor, and many, many others. We deserve better in our nation. I hope we will get better. But until then, I look forward to hearing from you. Please send me your texts, your comments, your emails. I want to hear what you have to say. I'll talk to you all again very soon.